Doug Payne here, and walking you through a typical jump day with a 5-year-old stallion by the name of Quiberon. We call him Harry in the barn, and he's an exceptional talent. He's by quite easy out of a fine romance mare, and he's doing both the hunters and eventing. He's done a couple national derbies. His last time out, I think he finished 4th with a 91 in the handy round. And he's done now a bunch of novice. I think he did his first training just a few months back. So I'd like to walk you through today both the warm-up and then into the basic training phase of what we would do on a typical day. Harry's, again, an exceptional talent. He's a beautiful mover. But if you were to be super critical, on occasion when you go to put your leg on, he tends to get a little bit tight and gets a bit more up and down rather than staying elastic and moving forward and through his back. So what we're going to do is spend a bit of time here at the walk. Every time that he does get a little tense, we're going to push him over, keep my leg on until the point that he does soften and he becomes again loose and freely flowing. And now moving on into the trot, we're really looking for the exact same aspect or same sort of metrics to evaluate how we're going so far. Is that we want to make sure that he stays again very elastic, freely flowing, shouldn't feel restricted whatsoever. And if he starts to get restricted, tight, whatever it might be, again, I'm going to just wrap my leg around and press him over, just as you can see there, until the point that, again, he gives. Once he gives, you could see his stride length opens up and he becomes looser and softer, and then we're just going to try to make the reward as clear as possible for him. For a bit of background, Harry's been with us now for, I guess, going on 4 years now. We try to buy a weanling a year, and he was bred by Didi Callahan. We've had him, again, from the start, and so he's been handled in around the girls and everything from day one. We generally start them the tail end of their 3-year-old year. And we got a good little spook there, so clearly we've got the flags there for a reason. We try to make the most of the environment, and if he can become accustomed to some chaos and a bunch of stuff happening by the time we get to show, it really becomes not an issue at all. The one important thing there is that when the spook happens, not going to get after him at all, but going to insist that we continue right back to where it was before. So again, with background, so we try to buy a weanling a year and then develop them. So we start them tail into their 3-year-old year, and they would end up competing both jumping and eventing in the 4-year-old year. The 4-year-old, they probably end up through novice and about ready to go training through the winter. And so he did start up 2020 with the move up to training, and then also into the national derbies. So as we go up into the canter, we saw in the trot, we had a couple, just starting with him, some lengthenings and real mild leg yields. The canter is, again, beautiful mover. We will do actually with him a fair bit of counter canter. I think it's a great straightening and strength building exercise. In that moment, changes actually are pretty easy, and we will touch on those a bit later. But went in here intending just to keep the right lead, and when he made a mistake, again, not going to be any bit of a punishing thing, but you are going to promptly come back to the walk and effectively not allow him to proceed with the mistake. And so you can see now, after we've got that a little clear, we still don't really like the yellow flag all that much. But as you can see, then the canter quality gets better, and then he starts to get locked in. Again, made a little mistake. No big deal at all. Come back to the walk, ask for the right lead. It's a bit tricky on the short side, so I'm going to make it a hair more clear to him, turn, and then sort of make a very, very slight arc to the right to make it super clear what we're after. And throughout all the time here, again, you're not going to get emotional about it at all. If he makes mistakes, it's really no big deal. I'd expect nothing less, especially with a young horse like that. But do insist that everything that he does is the best quality that we can get for the time period and for the status and training that we're currently at. So you can see there, after we get the counter canter locked in, then we'll do a change to the left, to the other lead, and then we'll touch on the counter canter to the left. And he's a super obedient horse. In the end, he's a massive trier and a huge talent. So it makes life a whole lot easier and more enjoyable for sure. Again, counter kind of the left is quite good. That's okay, we get a bit stuck there in the change, so I'm just going to go readdress it, try it once more. Just again, balance trot first, hopefully. Up into the left lead. Just have to make sure that, again, he's always stepping forward. There we go. And that would be just coming up to the end of what we do in the warm-up phase. A little stretch trot. Again, looking for just loose, soft, relaxed manner in going. And then we'll always sort of finish up before a break. We'll come back down to a halt and make sure we're square. And couldn't ask for much better than that. Okay, and then now we're going to head on into the jumping portion. So once we've got our 5 minutes or so of flat, confident that, again, he's relaxed, soft, and good walk, trot, and canter, then we'll start popping over some jumps. This is an exercise we use all the time. Little ox here, probably, I don't know, maybe it's 18 inches. Ground rails 7 feet or so on front and back. And we'll trot in initially. The oxer is a super exercise, especially off a slightly shorter thing. I think the most difficult concept to try to get the horses comfortable with early on is to be able to shorten, but not only just shorten their stride, but just get quick with their feet. So with this sort of exercise, I'm not going to be bothered at all if in the end you get there at a funny distance and it doesn't quite work out. Just kind of hang out, let them make a mistake, and go from there. So once I know we've got them locked in, we're actually just go straight into a little course here. Again, he's just a crazy good talent. If he ends up at all coming to a fence and I feel like the distance isn't quite right, I'm just gonna think about steadying, warn him that it's not quite there, but certainly without a doubt let him make a mistake as well. So I want in the end that he's going to be looking after himself and then subsequently after whomever's riding. So like there, got down the 4 a little bit easy, and he has the rail. It's again, wouldn't be bothered at all. Give him a little breather, and again pick up the contact, and just as we did in the very beginning, he got a little bit short, so just going to insist that the walk is completely true and soft and through before we go on. And just going to pop over, there's a brick wall on the diagonal, so we're going to start with that and then do that diagonal line one more time to make sure that the 4 stride this time works a bit better than it did last. So cantering up to the wall. I was pretty impressed by him. Actually got a little bit snug to it, and it's decent enough size and popped over with ease. We got our diagonal 3 to a 4 again. The 3 worked out well, just a hair steady, and jumped it perfect. So that would really be all the expectation I would have for a horse at his age and his experience. And once he does that, I'm very, very quick to reward. And I can't really stress that enough, is that you're looking for very, very good quality work at whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish that day. But the overall time that it might take is often the least significant aspect. I think at this we probably had 8 minutes of actual working in the ring, so probably was on him only 15 or 18 minutes. But for a horse, especially at his age, if you can make sure that you never kill the initiative to want to put forth their most effort, then they're going to try hardest for you, and I think succeed in the end. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll again just continue to check back. Harry is also standing. We've had a couple horses, or a couple mares bred this spring, and we'll look to expand that going forward.